Now, moving on to the most significant night in European politics since we voted to leave the European Union, and the cosy Euro establishment is reeling after voters gave them a kicking. The result was so bad for the Belgian government, the country's Prime Minister has resigned. And after French President Emmanuel Macron's party suffered major losses, he called a snap election, a decision that's been branded an extraordinary gamble and one that wiped 60 billion euros off the value of the Paris Stock Exchange this morning. Well, I'm joined now by Professor Anand Menon, who's the Director of UK in a Changing Europe. Welcome to the show, Professor Menon. So an astonishing night in Europe and a huge wake-up call to the EU. Tell us more.
It's certainly a wake-up call in some countries, like particularly France and Germany. I mean, the picture's different in different countries. So the Social Democrats, the incumbents, did all right in Denmark, for instance. In Sweden, the right-wing party didn't do as well as expected. But I think in France and Germany, and in Germany for the governing coalition, for France for the political system as a whole, you're absolutely right. This was something of a wake-up call.
And there's been another massive backlash, and that is against the Green movement. They've dropped 20-odd MEPs, and it seems when people get a chance to vote on Green policies, they're kicking back against net zero.
Yeah, that seems to be very much the case. It's most marked in Germany, where, of course, it's slightly mixed in with the fact that people are really unhappy with the coalition government. So there are a variety of factors behind it. But absolutely, the Greens performed far worse than they'd been expecting and hoping. And actually, the other thing that's interesting in the European continent is the number of young people who are willing to vote for the right-wing parties, which is something that actually it doesn't happen so much in this country, but is quite a feature of European politics.
Yeah, it's all change in the European Union. Thank you so much for joining us for a quick hit there, Professor Anand Menon, who's the Director of UK in a Changing Europe, and loads to talk about in that case there. And that's astonishing switch of young voters in Europe towards the right-wing parties. That's something we don't see here, and there's lots to think about that. Now, thank